Hey, and welcome to Breaking Bread, hosted by me, Crunk Chocolate, a show where we break verbal bread with a quote unquote enemy. Whenever Manchester City has an upcoming match, I will be here having a conversation with a supporter of City's upcoming opponents. Subscribe to our $6 tier to enjoy the full episode. You will be able to enjoy the video and the audio of the first 15 minutes. But for just the price of one beer, one pint, a coffee, depending on what kind of bar you go to, a drink, a cocktail, you can support an independent podcast where we have our shows like this, Breaking Bread, our interview series, Chopping It Up, where we have some pretty amazing guests this month. And I'm super excited about all the fun things that we're going to be doing in the summer. Can change it up. Stay tuned for all those. Please subscribe. Appreciate you. Wonderful show tonight for you all. Manchester City versus Everton. It's been a very, very rough season. And I'm not going to lie. I feel like maybe I knew before, but I 1,000% knew where the season was heading. December 15th, the first fixture between these two teams, when Everton, plain and simple, they just beat City down 2-1. It was a 2-1. If it wasn't for a very late penalty, it would have been a 2-0 clean sheet. The reason why I remember this match so vividly, I was driving to Chicago. So I'm trying to drive to Chicago in just like dense fog, going to a Manchester City derby. It was just all in all, just an awful day for Manchester City as a football club. The women lost on the road in a match that I totally thought we were going to win. I smug as me on both, just egg on my face for the entire day. And then the capitulation in the Manchester derby, that was the Nunes penalty that he gave up, scrambling back and chopped, I think it was Bruno in the back of the legs. And whoa. But I would say, hey, it's later in the season. Positive things could happen, but I honestly have no idea who we're going to field as our forwards other than Carolyn. And I'm a little worried about Carolyn. We got Lily Murphy, but I think it's going to be Laura Coombs. I actually have no idea. But here to help me learn more about Everton, the women's side, Shady Gang, for the first time, please give it up for Peter McFarlane. How are you?
I'm doing okay, yeah. I'm doing okay. I think you spoke about that first game against Manchester City earlier on in the season. I think that was such a crucial win for Everton at the time as well. I think if you would have spoke to me before that game, we were in such a different position. We were really looking over our shoulder. I didn't know where a goal was going to come from. We just kept losing game after game. We'd got a good result in the derby against Liverpool, and I think the City game just before the break came at the right time for us. We were able to get that win and then have a bit of a break, get some players back from injury, and make some really good signings in January. So yeah, we've kind of gone from strength to strength. There's a lot of potential in our squad, a lot of potential.
Yeah, I mean, well, hey, let's hop into this conversation. I mean, hearing the accent, we talked about it, the Scouse accent. I assume you're from the general area, but there are multiple teams, and there are a couple teams in that area that you could choose from, and you became an Everton fan. So, how did you basically become an Everton fan?
Well, there's an expression that says we don't choose, we are chosen.
Mm-hmm.
I was born an Evertonian. My family are all Evertonians. My granddad was an Evertonian. Funnily enough, my granddad on my mum's side was a Liverpool fan, but my mum was an Evertonian. My dad's an Evertonian. My brother. Um, it's just that there is no choice. You literally you get a team and you stick with it through thick and thin. As an Evertonian, obviously, it's very difficult living in the city sometimes because of our neighbours.
Yes.
Certainly on the men's side can be very vociferous, and don't let us forget the fact that we don't win as much as them. But certainly when it comes certainly to the WSL, it's fantastic. We've got a great record over them. certainly over the last few years as well. So we've definitely got the bragging rights in recent times over them. It's great.
Yeah. What is something that you love about the Everton women's side? Is there,
Mm.
what do you think is like a really good quality about the club?
Well, I think the club as a whole, it's got a very family feel to it.
Mm,
I think any player who comes to Everton is always accepted and taken under our wing. I think even through bad times, and we certainly have had a lot of those. I think the supporters always get behind the players. The community within the supporters is incredible as well. Certainly over the last 3 or 4 years, as our supporters club has grown, I've met some incredible people, and it's the people who make Everton Football Club. It's a very sort of family orientated and very close knit community. People look out for each other. It's just a really kind of welcoming place, and I think that there's a lot of Man City fans as well who actually come to our games because we do welcome them. You know, opposition fans. We try and make people feel at home, and we like to sort of spread that family vibe, if you like. Having
yeah.
said that, as soon as the game kicks off, obviously we're giving everything to try and get behind the team and get behind our girls. But it's just a quality. There was a phrase that was coined a few years ago that Everton are the people's club in this
Mm.
city, and I think that is very sort of apt, and it kind of describes what Everton is. Um, certainly, I'm very proud of this football club.
Yeah. If I have to choose between you and Liverpool, it's 1,000% Everton every time. Yes, yes, for sure.
It's lucky
That
because if you would have said the other lot, I would have hung up.
well, I mean, you're another shade of blue, so that's nice.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
yeah, and like you said, just the vibes with the well, I will say there was one time I was at a MLS game. I was at like a pre-match event, and I saw this a lady in an Everton shirt, and I was wearing my City gear, and I go up to him and I go, I like the kit because it was like a retro one too. So I was like, really like the kit, and they go, thanks, and then they saw the City kit, saw the City crest, and literally just walked right past me, didn't say anything else to me, and I was like, holy shit, and I was just like, fair, fair.
How long ago was this? Was this just after you took Chloe Kelly off us, or was it?
No, it was like last summer. It was definitely
Oh,
like it was so excessive. Like,
wow.
especially when I guess I get if I'm in England and I bump into somebody and they want to like talk about oil club, blah 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 blah. Sure, but honestly, I really tell people to like come off it whenever they try to do that. Like, whole, I'm just a person who likes a football club, and you want to
Yeah,
try to throw all the state-owned bullshit at me. Like, bro, we're really about to have conversations about billionaires. Like, that's how you're gonna feel better than me right now. Like, that's what we're
yeah.
about to do. And so, people who want to have that conversation, thank you for saving me time and wasting energy for you. And I just move on and talk to people who want to talk to me. Oh wow.
Well, I wouldn't have reacted that way. I would have had a conversation with you.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Get yourself over to Walton Hall Park. Get yourself or Goodison Park if we end up moving there. Get yourself over to Liverpool, and we'll look after you. Don't worry.
Yeah, so I have heard that the women's team is looking at possibly taking over Goodison. Like, what is the percentage chance of that happening? Like, is there a hurdle that needs to be overcome or something like that?
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know if you've not been to Walton Hall Park before. Obviously, a lot of City fans will have been. It's pretty much landlocked. It's in the middle of a park, literally.
Mm,
When we first moved there, we had talking about billionaire owners. We had one at the time who had ambition to expand the stadium and to develop the whole the area, if you like. But unfortunately, those plans were blocked, and then we had issues
mm,
with the ownership. We've actually got a new owner in now, the Freakin Group, our American new owners, fantastic, and they've got big ambitions for the football club as a whole. And I think that one of the really exciting things that they said when they came in was that they see the women's team as a big priority. They feel that the women's team has been neglected, and that they want to really kick on. They want to sort of make Everton challenging, get Everton challenging again. And I think first and foremost we need to sort out the facilities. The pitch itself at Walton Hall Park is fantastic. It's one of the best in the league.
mm,
It's a properly it's a Premier League standard pitch. It's probably one of the best in the WSL. That's the pitch. The rest of it is so behind the times, and it's, it's not fit for purpose. And I think with the league's new owners as well, I think that they're going to start insisting on certain capacities that have to be met as a minimum requirement. I think there was talk of 7,000 being the minimum requirement, and unfortunately, Walton Hall Park will never be able to get to that capacity just because of where it is. So I think Goodison Park makes sense. The Certainly in the short term, I think, because it's going to be an empty stadium in a month's
Mhm.
time. It's going to be unused. Obviously, there's so much history there with Everton Football Club. It's a place that, as an Evertonian, I absolutely love and adore. It's got so much history in that place, and if we can save it and stop it from being demolished completely, I'm all for it. The risk for me would be that what we don't want to have is a 40,000 seater stadium and not be able to fill it every week. So I think the most likely option will be to move there, but then to downsize it slightly, modernize it, but downsize it, and that way you can, you know, build it up rather than going in there and sort of trying to run before you can walk. I think we've got a big opportunity as well in terms of increasing the supporters who come to follow the women's team, because a lot of people will want to go back to Goodison Park and will want to experience Goodison Park. So I think it's a really big opportunity to try and, get the message out there and get more people coming along to watch our team.
Yeah, and I completely understand that, because really the only team who in the WSL who sells out their men's side stadium and does a good attendance is Arsenal. I do know that it helps that they've had the history that they have. And I was talking to some other Arsenal fans. I know that when you buy Arsenal men's season tickets, they offer you the women's season tickets almost like a little bit more. And that's a good way to sell those tickets and get all those numbers. It's brilliant. But even like Chelsea, they've had all the success that they've had. They will sell out Kings Meadow, but then when they try to play in the Chelsea men's, they can barely hit 10,000. So it is a very interesting situation. Whenever City tries to play in the Etihad, they just did the Derby, and seeing that stadium as empty as it was, there wasn't even a men's game. We also feel the team doesn't market it as well as they possibly should, especially with the stars that they have on the squad. But that's just kind of a problem the whole league has, and there's a huge focus that I'm hoping that comes with the WPLL, but also some of these things that they're voting on lately just seems like they're not focused on the right things. So
Yeah,
it's all
100%.
very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the thing as well. I mean, in terms of some of the things they've been voting on as well, I know that there's been talk of having a closed league, no relegation, and all that type of thing. And I just think that
Playoffs.
I'm so against that type of that going down that route. There was even talk of Rangers and Celtic coming down from the Scottish League again. I just think that, for one, I think that that's so detrimental to Scottish football and for their pyramid, but also closing the league off just isn't the right way to do it, in my opinion. I know in America they have sort of
Mm-hmm.
your franchises and the closed leagues and
Mm-hmm.
all that type of thing, but over here we've kind of got, I say, the football pyramid is so important in terms of the development of players. We've got a couple of players who are out on loan at the moment. I think Izzy Hobson's just actually been recalled for the game at the weekend, but she's been on loan at Sheffield United in the Championship. Now that is going to put her in good stead going forward in her career. If you don't have that competitive football in the lower leagues with the opportunity to potentially progress, then what's the point? I just find the whole idea completely and utterly wrong. But yeah, it's a big job for the league to try and increase the attendances. But I think the other thing you've got to bear in mind as well is that in terms of football over, or soccer as you call it, women's football over here, I think because of politics over the years, because of the fact that the FA actually banned women's football
Mm-hmm.
from being played in men's stadiums for 50 years, you know, naturally the women's game is going to be behind the men's team in terms of the revenues, in terms of the attendances. But what they need to focus on is the next generation, get people in. That's why Lionesses attract crowds. Kids want to go and see the Lionesses. Well, those kids
Mm-hmm.
grow up, and then, you know what I mean? That's kind of what you need to do. And we also need to break the sort of stigma, if you like, I speak as a man. There's a lot of male fans in our city who still won't go and watch the women's
Mm-hmm.
side, and I
Yep.
find that completely ridiculous. I don't see a difference when I look at the Everton badge. I don't care who's wearing it; they're getting my backing, and I think that's the kind of mentality that needs to spread.